In an increasingly unstable world order, marked by trade wars and disrupted global supply chains, Bharat is charting a path of resilience and growth. Under the dynamic leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has sealed a historic free trade agreement with the European Union during the 16th India-EU Summit in New Delhi. This landmark deal, hailed as the mother of all deals by EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen.
Prime Minister, distinguished friend, we did it. We delivered the mother of all deals.
Unites 1.4 billion Indians with 450 million Europeans, forging a massive market of nearly 1.85 billion people that represents 25% of global GDP and one-third of world trade. So let's dive into the details of what is being hailed as the mother of all deals. The India-EU Free Trade Agreement slashes tariffs on 96.6% of EU good exports to India, while granting India preferential or duty-free access for over 99% of its exports to the EU. This could double India's exports to the EU from $76 billion in goods and $30 billion in services in 2024 to over $200 billion, pushing overall bilateral trade to €300 billion by 2032. This FTA is a game changer for our economy. Indian exports like textiles and apparel worth $7 billion to the EU in 2024, including $4.5 billion in apparel and $1.5 billion in home textiles, will gain duty-free access on 90% of lines, potentially increasing India's share from just 3% of EU imports to much higher, unlocking $50 billion in additional exports by 2031. Sectors such as pharmaceuticals will get preferential market access with a $10 to $15 billion potential growth. Gems and jewelry, leather, textile and footwear to get duty-free access, meaning tariffs on these segments have been slashed to zero. Services trade, already at $30 billion, will expand in IT, consulting and digital services, with easier mobility for professionals, creating 1 to 2 million high-skilled jobs. EU investments, already over $150 billion, with 6,000 European companies in India, will attract a further 100 to 200 billion euros over a decade in EVs, renewables, semiconductors and advanced manufacturing, strengthening Make in India and creating millions of jobs for our youth while reducing our trade deficit. Crucially, Indian farmers are fully protected. Agriculture has been a non-negotiable red line for India, and sensitive products like rice, sugar, dairy, poultry and chicken are entirely excluded from tariff cuts, shielding over 146 million farm households supported by schemes like the PM Kisan Yojana. While EU agri-food gets some access, our core rural sectors remain secure, allowing exports in marine products and processed foods to grow without compromising Kisans' livelihoods. For Indians, this means greater affordability. European cars, premium models from BMW, Mercedes, Audi and Volkswagen will see tariffs drop from 110% to 40% initially, then to 10% over time on up to 250,000 vehicles annually, potentially reducing prices by lakhs for models above 16 lakhs. Meanwhile, Indian-made cars are set to get duty-free access to European markets. Wines and spirit duties fall from 150% to 20 to 40%, beer to 50%, olive oil from 45% to zero over 5 years. Processed foods like chocolates, biscuits and pet food see tariffs up to 50% eliminated. Tariffs on machinery and electrical equipment duties will be phased out from up to 44% to 0% for almost all products. Duties on pharma will drop from around 11% to 0% for almost all products, and medical devices will see duties eliminated from up to 27.5% to 0% for 90% of products. The summit went beyond trade, launching the first ever India-EU Security and Defence Partnership. Signed by PM Modi, von der Leyen and EU Council President Antonio Costa, it covers maritime security, defence industry co-development, cyber and hybrid threats, space security, counter-terrorism and crisis management. Negotiations for a Security of Information Agreement will enable classified info sharing and tech transfer. With Europe's €500 billion defence market and India's $2.5 billion defence exports in 24-25, this could draw 100 to 200 billion euros in investments, bolstering Atmanirbhar Bharat in semiconductors and resilient supply chains. The new India-EU FTA will go a long way in helping build a Viksit Bharat by 2047. In an unstable world, India is building stability, prosperity and self-reliance. Jai Hind.